I think a reoccurring problem that a lot of us have is thinking about and concentrating on what is going on with our kids with the ex. I've fallen into this trap a lot myself, and it's an easy trap to fall into because you want to know what's going on. You want to know what your kids are doing. You want to know what the environment's really like. Part of it is that you want validation and not reassurance, but you just want proof that what you think's going on is going on. And conversely, if everything is not that, it's just, bottom line, it's a mess. Because if things are going badly, you're thinking about your ex, what's going on with them. If things are going good, you're ruminating about that. If you know something and your kids aren't telling you, then you're wondering why, what's going on? Why aren't they telling you? Why are they lying to you? Why is this stuff going on? The fundamental truth on this is it really doesn't matter. And every time you focus on what's going on or, like what's happening behind the curtain, it's really not in your best interest. It's a hard thing to disentangle yourself from. And I would say that when you get information and you know something and like maybe you're testing your kids. I've done this before too. And you're asking a question or they're telling you about something and what they're telling you isn't accurate. They're basically misleading the facts. This is what I would tell you on that. Does it really, really matter what's going on, right? Is it really indicative of a more significant problem? I would say, for the most part, the answer on that is no. Now, I've seen my ex do this same type of thing with my youngest daughter a few years ago, where obviously she knew something. She was asking our daughter a series of questions to try to ascertain what she knew. And my daughter was being vague and wasn't really answering the question. And her mom ultimately caught her on it and then didn't chastise her because my daughter threw me under the bus when my ex was basically saying, does your dad tell you to lie? Do you think lying is right? Just completely this whole guilt thing was put upon her. Kids do things to where they don't want to be put in the middle. So you have to be really careful about that because nothing good comes from it. And if you're not really doing hybrid no contact and black hole thinking black hole thinking and hybrid no contact correctly, and you're still trying to get information and you're still looking behind that curtain, that's where things become a problem. Now, the caveat on this is if you're in the midst of a court battle and you're trying to fight in court, then knowing some things is beneficial because you can preempt what's going on and you can try to make sure that whatever story they're trying to say, you're not feeding into it. So it's important to understand that because otherwise you can get yourself into a bind. Now, I think if you can be perfectly good in all this, then effectively it wouldn't matter. And what I mean by good is that if you're not falling victim to the fear and the anxiety and the stress, which every one of us is going to do that in the beginning stages of this, so it's kind of unrealistic, then you could probably even pull back farther because you're not going to make any mistakes. Okay, the second part about this is you're better off just focusing on what's happening within your environment, within your area of control or your household. Look at what your kids are really doing with you. If you know something's going on with the ex and your kids aren't telling you, don't even put them in the middle of it. Realistically, whatever's happening with your ex is irrelevant. It doesn't necessarily matter to your life anymore. Equally as technically your life shouldn't matter to them anymore either. Just focus on what's happening right in front of you and your environment and your situation with the kids. Now the caveat on that is, and this is kind of a tough one, because if your kids are acting acting up, so to speak, you can think, or you can basically, not project, but you can take that down, that situation a step farther and say, oh, well, it's because of what the ex is doing. You know, just focus on what you're doing with your kids. That is the main thing. Focus on keeping a stable, calm foundation or baseline for them so that they feel secure in your house, that they don't feel like they have to play games. And if something's happening and you're questioning it, take a step back and really ask yourself, is it really that important? A lot of times it's not. You know, maybe there's going to be some situations where it is. But again, it's like everything I talk about. Like, this kind of rolls back to the hybrid no contact too, where when you're looking at the communication of what you're going to do with your ex, and you're really trying to decide, is it worth it? You know, take everything back, take a step back, look at it from a higher level, and look at the whole situation and ask yourself, does that little part really matter? And double check, right? I mean, if you think, yes, it does, you know, well, pause for a moment. Pause for a moment and relook at it again and really check to see if it really is important for this particular situation. The best thing that you can do for yourself and your kids is to reduce as much chaos, anxiety, and stress as you possibly can. And it's not easy, but that's I mean, if you can focus on that and you can bring things down and you can bring the stability up in your situation, it changes everything. Now, it's going to take, in the beginning stages, it'll take a while because your kids are going to push the boundaries on it because they're not necessarily going to believe it. They're still going to believe the chaos, and they're going to still believe that things aren't quite right, and they'll test it to make sure. So it's really important that you're able to maintain your stability for them so that they can start to feel more and more comfortable. And I'm telling you, if you're able to do that, you'll start to see significant progress relatively quickly, and then things will get better significantly faster after that. This is where, you know, in my older videos, when I would talk about Groundhog Days and how bad it would be on those days, and I used to have that, as soon as I started implementing this and I really started realizing that this was the key, those Groundhog Days, I mean, effectively now when the kids come back from their moms, even from a long vacation, like even this last one, it's like they never left. Whereas in the past, just a few days, they would come back and it would be a nightmare. It would be just stress and anxiety and a lot of issues. Now, like I said, they walk through the door unless I'm picking them up at school, you know. But it's like they were never gone, and that's the thing. That is the victory, and that is the not the profit, but the good outcome whenever you do this. It actually creates a lot more stability in your life and in there. So, I just wanted to hit that topic. I know a lot of people struggle with this, and I know in the beginning stage of this it can be really tough because you don't see it. You don't think it's going to happen, and you really think that the chaos and the drama and the manipulation is going to last a long time, but that in your environment it's going to stay the same. You have a lot more ability to affect your environment than you really think. So on that, I'm going to wrap this video up. Hopefully you're doing well, and I will chat with you on the next video. Take care. Bye.